everyone, my name is Estrella Cardenas, and the chapter that I chose for my video project is chapter 6, which is on memory. The three concepts I'll be reviewing is the magic number 7 fiber 4, elaborative rehearsal, and maintenance rehearsal. I hope you guys enjoy my interpretation of the three concepts. The first concept that I chose was the magic number 7 fiber 4, and it was a theory brought about by a man named George Miller. Basically, what he wanted to do with this theory was he wanted to see how our short-term memory works. So he brought a group of people and he performed something called a digit span test, which means that he would read off a series of numbers to them, and then he would have them say the numbers back exactly to him in the order that he was giving it to them. So each time that the people would get the series of numbers right, he would then increment the next series of numbers by 1. Well, what he found out after he tested this theory on different people was that most people can't get past seven digit series. So he concluded that our short-term memory, we can only hold a certain amount of information for a short period of time before we actually forget it. So what I did was I went ahead and tested out the theory myself, so that's what you will see in the next clip. The first series of numbers is 3, 21, 42, and 5. Go ahead and say them back to me exactly in that order.
3, 21, 42, and 5.
Second series of numbers is 1, 6, 10, 20, and 9. Go ahead and repeat them back to me.
1, 6, 10, 20, and 9.
Okay, the third series of numbers is 2, 8, 14, 3, 1, and 7. Say them back to me.
2, 14, 3, 8.
After testing out my first concept, George Miller's beliefs turned out to be true, because my test subject, who was also my sister, couldn't remember more than 5 numbers at a time. I also did test it out on my spouse, even though I didn't record it, but he also wasn't able to get past the 5 numbers, which really proves that our short-term memory isn't very good. It's just, we remember it for the time being, and if we say it enough times, then we'll remember it. But after a short time, we just tend to forget it. So I don't know if maybe it was because I was recording and she knew that, which made her more nervous, or it's just that we can't seem to retain information if it's given to us that quickly.
Alright, so the pathway of blood from the third digit of the right hand to the aorta. Alright, so you start at the capillaries of the third digit of the right hand. So capillaries are the smallest blood vessels. Then you go to venules of the third digit. So veins are also small. Venules are small veins. Then they connect to the right superficial palmar venous arch So palmar is palm, so superficial palm, superficial palmar venous arch. Then it goes to right cephalic vein on top, cephalic on top, following to right axillary vein. Axillary is axilla, which means armpit, so it passes through the armpit. Followed by right subclavian vein. Sub is under, clavian, clavicle, under the clavicle, right subclavian vein, followed to right brachiocephalic vein. Brachial means arm, cephalic is head, so towards the head and towards the arm, and then down into the superior vena cava vein. Okay, clavicle, scapula, sternum, clavicle, scapula, sternum, clavicle, scapula, sternum, rib, clavicle, scapula, sternum, rib, sternum, scapula, clavicle.
So for the next two clips, I decided to interview my anatomy professor so she could give her own personal opinion about which method of memorization she feels like works best. And also I had her compare both maintenance rehearsal and elaborative rehearsal.
How elaborative rehearsal method help. So we can use something that you're familiar with. So connect new information with something that you already know. Right? If you know that this is, let's say, cuboidal bone, it looks like a cube, right? If it's a tarsal, start with T, it's on the top of another bone. Or some mnemonics, some phrases that allow you to memorize the order. And this is how I feel about this rehearsal method. Now rehearsal, that tells the less effective, but I think when you memorize something, I personally feel it's important to rehearse it and repeat it and tell your brain this is important information. Because if you don't repeat the information, your brain doesn't perceive this information that's something important for you, and you will forget it. And what is the best way to memorize new concept? I think the best way for me would be to relate it, yes, to previous knowledge that I already have. So build up from the basic, building up, and up. And every new information should be somehow chained, related, connected to the previous information that you know.
As far as memorizing, I would say I'm okay. I have to hear things over and over again in order for me to actually memorize them. It means to me the way your brain retains information. I feel like my short-term memory is pretty good. I can remember something that I did maybe 2 weeks ago. I feel like my long-term memory is also pretty good. I retain kind of long-term memory a little bit better than I do short-term memory. I remember when we used to live in Colton, and according to my mom, I was pretty young. I remember what our room used to look like, so I think that was probably one of my first memories.
This is the anatomy lab at the Rancho campus. I chose to put this clip in my video so that we could all see that memory and how it works goes beyond the psychology course. All the different structures that you see being displayed are what students such as myself are required to memorize. This course is infamous for being intense and rigorous. I believe that this class requires memorization methods such as elaborative rehearsal because of the amount of material that needs to be memorized. Understanding how memory works can help us be successful. This is why we should not take our memory for granted. It is such a valuable tool that can benefit every aspect of our lives. I hope you all enjoyed my interpretation of the 3 concepts. Thank you for watching.